I got it.
This is Brother Washington Muhammad, and this is the Community Solidarity Response Network. I use the pronouns he and him, and today I am wearing I don't know, what is this, mustard brown t-shirt. All right, Dijon, all right. You already know what it is. I got my glasses from Optigo. I am kind of caramel brown, fresh haircut, fresh shave, and as always, I'm dedicated to respecting and protecting all Black bodies, no matter the cost, no matter the gains or loss. So it's great being here. CSRN was started in the living room of Jabril Bay along with Mike Leonardi nearly 7 years ago. They asked me to assist them with planning something that ended up being Community Solidarity Day. And along that route, we met Julian, we met Jody, Ruth, Lonnie, Gina. Who else have we met along the Gwen, Dr. Gwen, so many people. Hey,
Bruce out there.
Bruce. Man, you know what? So many people. Because we're gonna.
I'm not gonna. I wasn't gonna fall into that trap.
All right. So hey, listen, we come, and of course today's it's about George Floyd 1 year later, but I'm going to give Jody, Julian an opportunity to introduce yourself. What do you have on?
All righty, what's up, everybody? Jody J. Summers, child of the system, better known as Spoken Truth. I am the treasurer of this wonderful organization. I missed you guys last week. I was, making some taxable, but I am back this week. I am a brown-skinned, cinnamon-toned big bear of a man that is covered in tattoos and crystals and stuff from as I travel as an entertainer or the community circle servant. I collect. The clothing I wear is non-descriptive. I do not wear brands that represent corporations, but brands that represent my community, i.e. the Filthy Feathers hat, the Sankofa 419 shirt, blank t-shirt, and other stuff like that. And my pronouns are him, he, and we. So is the description of how we kind of keep this going. But watch, you got a mask on. Okay. How we keep this going and inform to everybody is it's kind of like repetition. For us, it's new. If you were, hopefully, which we'll be able to start again maybe this summer, depending on that stuff. But when you came to a meeting, you got to hear this, and we would pass this off to different individuals. You would actually open up with asking you how your day is and what's going on with you. We can kind of do that through live, but people, again, are more private somewhat online, I guess you could say. Maybe not looking at some stuff, but either way, this is our mission statement. Okay, what is it gonna say? Okay. We are the Community Solidarity Response Network of Toledo, formed on November 25th, 2014, the day after it announced that the killer, a Ferguson, Missouri police officer of Michael Brown, an unarmed teenager, would not be indicted. We bring awareness to the fact that injustice is experienced by Black men, women, and children who are disproportionately murdered, attacked, provoked, and harassed by law enforcement. Police brutality has to end. We bring awareness to the fact that most often police brutality goes without consequence and accountability. Police impunity has to end. We utilize the tactics of protest, civil disobedience, event disruption, and citizen advocacy to give voice to those who are otherwise voiceless. We facilitate progressive, community-based events that help foster self-development, and we discuss measures to hold local leadership accountable to their sworn duties, be they politician, clergy, law enforcement, educators, etc., etc. We want justice, equal justice under the law. We want justice applied equally to all, yes, all, regardless of class, creed, or color. For all lives to matter, Black lives must matter. And justice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr.
All right, and before we get to Julian, if we could check to see if our sound is on. If
Our sound's on. I'll check.
All right, if everybody's hearing us, all right, because this is just a tech check right now, all right?
We want justice.
All right, awesome, okay. So we want to move forward with our guiding principles. This is the thing that keeps us together and keeps us tight. Julian, could you read our guiding principles along with introducing yourself? What do you have on your pronoun?
My name is Julian, the pronouns he, him. I am a peanut butter brown skinned man with I have a shirt I got on from Black Lives BLM Society. It's great woke gear. If you'd like to go there, I got several things from there, but check them out. It says Black Lives Matter, and it's got a Basquiat crown upside down, which I think is very powerful and symbolic. But these are our guiding principles. Thriving instead of surviving. Our vision is based on the world our vision is based on the world we want, not the one we are currently in. We seek to transform, not simply react. We want our people to thrive, not just to exist. Think beyond the possible. Ashe.
Ashe.
And Ashe means one who
changes a thing or one who makes a thing happen.
That's right. Experimentation and innovation must be built into our work. Embrace the best tools, practices, and tactics and leave those behind that no longer serve us. Ashe.
Ashe.
Evaluation and assessment must be built into our culture. Critical reflection must be part of all of our work. We learn from our mistakes and our victories. Ashe.
Ashe.
Principled struggle can exist in a positive environment. We must be honest with one another by embracing direct and loving communication. Ashe.
Ashe.
Love and self-love is practiced in every element of all we do. Love and self-love must be the driver of our work and the indicator of our success. Without this principle and without healing, we will harm each other and undermine our movement. Ashe.
Ashe.
360-degree vision. We honor the past struggles and wisdom from our elders. Thank you. The work we do today builds the foundation of the movements of tomorrow. We consider our mark on future generations. Can I get an Ashe?
Ashe.
Self-care means we build resilient spaces by budgeting time, energy, and resources for healing. Self-care is a regular, consistent, and intentional essential practice. Ashe.
Ashe.
The most directly affected people are experts at their own lives and should be in leadership at the center of our movement, telling our stories directly. Ashe.
Ashe.
Training and leadership development should be fundamental. Our movement must constantly grow and our leadership must constantly multiply. Ashe.
Ashe.
And let all Black lives matter. Queer Black lives, trans Black lives, formerly and presently incarcerated Black lives, poor and working class Black lives, differently abled Black lives, Black men and women's lives, immigrant Black lives, Black elderly and children's lives. All Black lives matter. We are the creators of this space. We throw no one under this bus. We rise together. Ashe.
Ashe. Hey, thanks, Julian. Hey, listen, come right. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come right back, discuss everything George Floyd today. So if you're watching us, put something in the chat. Let us know that you're checking us out. This is the CSRN Video Minutes, our weekly podcast. We'll be right back.
Hey, I'm Dr. P. Not only am I a leadership coach, I'm a change agent, and I'm a race scholar. I've used my study of race to dismantle systems and organizations, but I also use that to help you as the individual become a better leader for your families and for your community.
We are back. This is the CSRN Video Minutes, our weekly podcast. Yep, I'm Brother Washington. And today is everything George Floyd. 1 year ago today, George Floyd, our brother, was murdered in Minnesota, and that was the last straw for a lot of us that participate in activism and protest culture, and all over America, all over the world, we stood up in the name of Breonna Taylor, in the name of George Floyd, in the name of Brother Ahmaud, and everyone that's lost their life to mob violence, police violence, the institution of white supremacy. So I've got Jody, I've got Julian here. We should have a couple of other people chiming in today regarding 1 year since the murder of George Floyd. And the question that we wanted to pose to each other is, how have we changed as a people, and how have we changed personally? So I'm counting on you, Julian, you, Jody, to process this question. It's been 1 year. Roxanne Elias just left asking us those similar things. We were at the forefront of planning the Toledo Police Accountability Rally in March. It was us that was downtown on the corner of Erie and Jackson. You know, how have we changed? When I say we could be talking about society as a whole, the city of Toledo, the people in your neighborhood. How have we changed? And then the next question, how have we changed personally? We're different now, all right? Yeah. How different? So who wants to jump in first?
Go clockwise.
Okay, I don't know what that means because we're in a straight line. All right.
Clock's still going circle.
Okay, Jody, okay. I'll start first. All right, I'll start first. You know, this work takes a lot of patience, especially if you have a Jody and a Julian lingering. All right.
Their true orientation is different. I was gonna say, but it would just be your person to that hand side. You know.
Okay.
Yeah. Never mind.
Thank you, Jody. How we changed as a people. Jody said earlier in the interview that after the police accountability march, we saw a lot of groups taking form, some before, but many after. And one of my takeaways was how we changed as a people, that we no longer had to wait for city government. We no longer had to wait for so-called city leaders to stand up and say that, okay, it's okay if you guys protest this. It's okay if you guys decide to plant something. My takeaway is so many people decided that they can plan, that they can make a difference in the community. And many of those people that were sparked by the George Floyd uprising that Saturday, May 30th, are still making a difference today. So that's one of the things that changed. Another thing that changed is what we expect from our city leaders. I think that more and more of us have realized that, yes, we can expect more. It's more for them to do. It's more for them to be accountable for. So those are just the two takeaways right now, and how we've changed personally. Well, personally for me, because of COVID, I have more time to do a lot of the things that I put off. So I took up a lot of new hobbies, a lot of new interests that have helped me be a better person, you know, spiritually, mentally, you know, and emotionally than I was last year. If I thought that I was okay last year, I'm better this year because I've taken advantage of having good friends to be associated with, a great support system that I can call on, and just really taking advantage of my family, and particularly my wife, Yvette. So if you're watching, Yvette, hey, it's like that. So that's how I've changed. So for Julian, for Jody, and however your clock is spinning today, from a guy that has crystals and beads on, I didn't even know you even had a clock. But anyway, Yeah, right. So I don't know if that was a suggestion or a threat, but anyway, I went first anyway. So here's the question: George Floyd, 1 year later, how have we changed how have we changed personally? What do you two think?
I think we don't fall for the okey doke anymore.
Man,
you know,
luck.
yeah, I think
right
that, you know, we had a very important national election this year, but by no means were we misled. I don't think that I don't think that anybody thought Biden would be our savior.
Wait, no.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't think that. I think that it's as clear now as it's ever been that there is a serious divide in the Democratic Party, right? That there's blatant out front, in your face racism in the Republican Party. There's people who will admit that they don't feel that your Black life matters, and say it proudly. And in the Democratic Party, there are people who boldly and proudly want to continue to fund institutions in a way that supports white supremacy, right? And so I think that this time around we weren't falling for the okey doke. I think that given the nature of Minneapolis and the fact that it's a progressive city and has already enacted many of the policies that, you know, we're behind on locally and have yet to enact, I think that it's became clear that some reform just won't work. There's some things we can't reform our way out of. And in a capitalistic society, which is the one we live in America, we need to take their money. You know, I've been in activist spaces before, often, and to the point where abolition of prisons and police was not something that was completely new to me, but it's something that I listened to with a completely new ear this year, right? I had to just look at the evidence and realize that some things are beyond reform, you know, and there's a strategic question on how I think it's best to move, how Brother Washington thinks it's best to move, Jody, and, you know, I think there's varying opinions on the how we get to the destination that we want to get to, but it's never been more clear that police are an institution that embolden white supremacy, and if they are going to, and unless we eliminate the way that they function and what gives them their power, which is the money, there's only so much we can expect to reform and change.
Okay.
Right. And so that's something that's I'm still finding my footing, to be honest. You know what I mean? Because this is new for me. I'm a reformer. You know, that's what I pride myself on being. But I think it's radicalized a lot of people, including myself, that and I think a lot of elected officials are in for a rude awakening when they realize that in fruit, it ain't gonna cut it. We want real sweeping change, redistribution of power in our communities. And we really won't settle for anything less than that.
All right. Now there is a follow-up question. How have you changed personally? Everybody saw you at the corners of the police station. They heard you, they heard Jody, they heard Ruth, They heard so many people passionately make the case for police reform, police abolition, defund the police, refund Toledo, however we call it, something's going to change. All right. We can call it whatever we want, but something's changing. How have you changed personally from that brother that had the mic and I was next to you, man? Yeah. Keep it going. All right. How have you changed?
I'm realizing I'm still changing, right? And so I can't say anything for certain, but I'm realizing the weight of my leadership, right? And it's something that I have to take seriously. And it is an honor and a privilege to be able to do this work, right? We're not just here and we don't just show up. It's an honor and a privilege to be able to do this work, and to be able to continue to do this work in service of our community. This isn't something that just anybody is able to do or should be able to walk up and do. And as a Black community, we instill trust in them, right? Like there are times when I've had to learn to listen, when I've had to learn to be humble, when I've had to learn to allow myself the grace to grow and mature and allow myself the grace to make mistakes, and allow myself the grace to bounce back from those mistakes. But it's heavy when you're in a hyper kind of visible situation, and people kind of pinpoint, a lot of the hopes and aspirations of a movement locally on you or split amongst a few people. And so one, it's an honor, but two, I realize that it's something to take very seriously. And I don't take that honor that others have bestowed upon me and continue to allow me to serve people you serve, right? And so I don't take that lightly. And so what does that look like? That looks like managing my life in a way where I can more effectively serve. It means making sure there's something in my cup to be able to pour out into others. It means making sure my cup isn't empty. Some of the stuff in my cup is for me, and I need to drink. It's something that feeds me. Not everything in my cup I can pour into everybody else's cup, right? Otherwise, I go malnourished. You dig? And so I'm learning to look at my cup as half full and half empty, learning to pour in others and allowing my others to pour into me. But most importantly, not letting my cup get empty, and that's the growth and the grace. It's hard. I'm actually holding back tears. I've been through a lot this year, and it's the growth and the grace that you all have guided me and continue to instill faith in me, and which allows me to continue to do this work. And I thank you, and I'm humbled by it.
Well, I wanted you to know that we're going to get into some of that after our break, because this is Mental Health Awareness Month. All right. And that's kind of what I do. Let's check in with Jody. It's been a whole year, and whatever that clock he set up earlier, it just swung back now. All right. Yeah. So
it wasn't a doomsday clock.
All right. Maybe. Right. Well, especially not with you here, because you've had everybody's back.
Yes.
You are definitely slept on, underestimated, and underrated. And I hope to be like that one day too. All right. So to you, we're talking about 1 year since the murder of George Floyd. And in a few days, it'll be 1 year from the Toledo a police accountability rally in March. You know, how do you think we've changed, Jody? And thank you both for Julian and Jody for taking part in these questions and showing some of your humanity. Most people know us from the signs that we hold up. Most people know us from the bullhorn and the chant, but we got problems too, all right, that we're trying to navigate through. So I wanted to bring this question now to Jody. When you think about how we've changed in a year as a people, process that question, and how would you process the other? How have you changed personally?
I guess, how have we changed in a year? As we were saying, and awesome for the news to come out and everything, not as much as I would like. Not nearly as much as I would like. It's, again, and that's also in effect because of the year we don't speak about all the mask and stuff like that. It did put a damper on how we react to each other as a community. So you can't go outside, you can't discuss nothing, but as we are unfortunately learning right now, not everybody that is done good for. So it's kind of been a year of isolation. Stuff happened, and even watching the video back from a year ago before the march and realizing we set that up in like 2 days. Like, I don't know. I see I'm a part of 6 boards, executive branch members, 3 of them. I run food pantries, art companies, you name it. There's nothing I don't touch. Now I'm gardening with you and several other people and in elected official, and we meet screens. So actually speaking to people and making them feel like anything has actually changed hasn't been done. I will slow clap for the Human Relations Commission and all the things that are coming down the pipeline now, but it's slow clap because y'all took it away in the first place. So I'm happy that is being done.
Okay.
But it's also like what's been done to most of the urban communities around the country, no matter where it is. You strip the funding, you strip the health care, the schooling, the food, and all that stuff, and you let the, for lack of a better word, I'm going to say people instead of the other word, which I've heard in many other conversations, but you let them fend for themselves. And then you come back like you're some type of savior, even though you've been filling up your pockets and buying jets and sports arenas and brands and more shiny tanks to shoot, you know, what we're just trying to protect the public, but we're going to shoot a wooden bullet at you and blow a chunk out your leg. So it's, for me, I don't talk a lot. I talk more through my poetry, my books, my artwork, my community service, because nobody would like me unchained. The news was asking when we were watching the things, and I think about horrible things and I laugh, is because that's mine. I could give you anger, I could give you hate, depression, sad and stuff, but I'm not giving you my happiness. So you should, I have a saying that, respect the smile or understand why I show my teeth. This has literally been happening for civilizations before there was guns and all this stuff, and that's what we fought with, our teeth and our nails and stuff. And we've kind of, I don't know, left the back door to all the dogs. People have peeked in, bulls and all those mysterious things that people were saying we were crazy and there's just another name we're screaming. It literally happened. We had our, I guess, mini-scale civil rights revolution. Right. Because we didn't have to look at pictures no more and wonder what our grandparents went through, i.e., mind you, grandparents, literally a generation ago, had to go through it, now see it in our faces. See it in our communities that we've screamed, they're here to protect us, but you're on the lawn with a sign with a gun on your back. Again, I applaud the stuff that kind of forced, because with everything we had, when everybody comes out the house, if they're still mad about this, you have to change. You have to give them some biscuits and laugh hysterically. Here's the whole Biden savior thing. Oh, goodness.
So
yeah, I'm an elected official. I know how it works. I can see from that side. I took my position because I wanted to do more. And if I couldn't do more, I would find people who could. It'd be that passion.
all right, so that brings us, speaking of your passion, that brings us to our next question. How have you changed? The person that kind of fits every box and not fit any of them at the same time. How have you changed personally from last year?
It gave me time to slow down. For the last 6 years, I've been doing this, also being an entertainer and an author and an artist and all that other stuff. But it was me going. I actually got a chance because of the slowdown to start a food pantry. Shout out to Chris Meager, Amber Isles, all that good stuff, because I got to see places they were too afraid to go to. They tell you to go to a food bank or something with lines around the corner, yet you got teenagers living under the bridge who have no food. And I got to see that. I didn't have to take a photo or make sure that you knew I was giving you some food. I hate that too. Also in activism, I hate the showboating, because we live and we die on the backs of people that have been committed, that have had injustices committed against them and have been murdered in the streets. So you taking some type of celebrity for somebody else's fallen child, brother, son, uncle, sister, grandma, whatever, is wrong. And that's what a lot of politicians do. That's what they're about to, y'all can call me later, but that's what they're about to get out here and do now. Kiss some babies best way they can, whether it be virtually or not, to make sure you're going to go to that poll to give them some type of power, which is kind of your only power. But now we've seen that, hey, I'm an entrepreneur. I can buy this block. I can buy this business. I don't have to go to this person for help because I just created my own farm. We'll see how it goes. We all remember Black Wall Street, Tulsa, and all that other stuff, but it's a different time and age now. And I hope that enough people have woke up, because it's a tipping scale. With some things, you don't need all people, you don't need the majority, you just need enough, to where enough people will keep going down that path to fight back or find freedom.
All right, so there's more work to do. That's going to be the question that we're going to be asking when we come back from the break. When you hear us say there's more work to do, what does that mean? When we come back from the break, and what do you do to stay balanced? So stay tuned. We're coming back. This is the CSRN Video Minutes, our weekly podcast.
Yeah. Did you know addiction is a disease, not a moral dilemma? The opioid epidemic and substance use have a major impact on communities of color and many people's lives. Wasion Wellness Recovery Support Center offers culturally relevant inpatient and outpatient behavioral health treatment and recovery support services to any Ohioan struggling with addiction, mental health, or finding sober, safe housing. We must recognize that treatment is available and accessible to all. If you are in need of treatment or want to find out more information, you can call 1-888-728-2713 to talk to someone or schedule an appointment.
Sports Center.
All right, we're back. This is CSRN Video Minutes, our weekly podcast where we talk about what's happening in the community. And today is the 1-year anniversary of the murder of George Floyd. So we're processing that. We're also processing the Toledo Police Accountability Rally and March that took place last year, May 30th, that really changed everything for Toledo when it comes to activism, when it comes to protesting, and when it comes to being an advocate. And I've got with me today Jody Summers, who is our treasurer and our spokesperson, Julian Mack. And one of the oft-repeated things that I hear us say, and I hear other people say is, well, there's more work to do. I'm like, duh. All right. Yeah, it is. Okay. Yeah, it is. It is. What does that mean to you? I don't know if you want to take it first, Julian or Jody. What does that mean? There's more work to do. And then I wanted to ask the question, with all of this work, with all the things that we see that's happening in our community, in our state, in the nation and world, how do we stay balanced to come back for another podcast? All right. So what does that mean to you when you hear the term, there's more work to do?
In this world, we're only going to do two things. We have a choice to do one of the two things. We're either going to build or we're going to destroy.
Okay.
So what are we going to do? So,
right.
Okay.
So, all right. I'm like,
I mean, that's the work. That's the work.
Yes, sir.
We're going to build or we're going to destroy.
Okay.
Right. So, to put it on a positive build.
It was positive because we are going to
we have to
abolish.
We have to destroy white supremacy.
Right.
We have to destroy these institutions that
positive.
uphold white supremacy.
And that's a positive.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, we have to destroy.
Yeah.
We have to destroy this.
See what we did right there?
Yeah.
Right.
We have to destroy the thinking in our mind that mimics. That many of us mimic white supremacy, right? The colorism and the self-hate amongst ourselves. We can build for ourselves and not wait. We have to get serious. The work to me looks like continuing to build institutions and mechanisms to empower Black people and to empower this next generation. One thing that's become painfully evident to me over the past year, and it's been evident to Brother Washington, because he says it often, but he talks about a generation that failed. I failed us. I don't want my generation to do that. All right. And so I'm already, thinking of one thing about 2020 that I didn't say just a minute ago is it showed me that I'm not a spring chicken. I'm not as young. I'm not necessarily the youngest person out here. All right. Thank God I don't look like what I've been through. But there is there's an entire generation that's eager, willing, and has the knowledge base to be able to create a seismic shift in the way that we live. And the work to me looks like giving them the tools, with all due respect, Brother Washington, that many in your generation did not give me and did not equip me and Jody with, right? Training, we talked about our guiding principles. Training and leadership development should be fundamental. We learn from our mistakes and we learn from our victories. What does it look like to pass down that knowledge to the next generation, to avoid some of the pain that we've been through, to be able to pass down those nuggets of knowledge that were hard earned through blood, sweat, and tears? That's what the work looks like in a very practical sense. I'm excited. One of the things that I'm kind of on the precipice of is building my nonprofit, Lead Toledo. I was able to education and ambition development, and what we'll do is teach young people how to engage in the political process at a young age. You may have to be 18 until you wait to vote, but you don't have to be 18 to make a difference in your community.
That's right.
And the tools and everything that exists for that to happen are out there right now. And there are people who are suffering. I mean, these kids are dying, and I know the solution lies within them because they're most directly affected. So what does it look like to empower? I feel called to empower the next generation with the tools now instead of waiting until some false idea of maturity is bestowed upon them at
Right.
this time, right?
That doesn't happen.
They can change now.
Right.
You know what I mean? We watched that movie. I watched that movie, Judas and the Black Messiah. Fred Hampton had all those tools. He was 20. What are we doing to make it so that 6 years from now, that 20-year-old, you know what I mean, 2026 version of Fred Hampton has all the tools to be able to flourish in a city like Toledo, like Fred Hampton flourished in a city like Chicago?
It's beautiful. My next question is, in order to do what you're saying, in order to do what I'm saying that I wanted to do, how do you stay balanced? You know, what keeps you from burning out? Everybody that started with us last year are not with us today.
Yeah.
All right. And what tools have you gained to keep yourself balanced?
Let me talk about it for a second, man. There is just like there's a culture amongst musicians, kind of live fast. There's a culture amongst activists, kind of a live fast culture that can breed many unhealthy ways of living, ways that I've indulged in myself, right? Ways that can lead to mental health issues, substance abuse, and things like that. In death, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And so, you know, for me, just personally, it means abstaining from those, you know, abstaining and addressing my mental health on a regular basis, right? So what does that look like for me? It means building a team of people I trust to be able to check in with. It means seeing a licensed therapist, not Pookie, who will listen to me ramble on while I'm drunk, but a licensed therapist that I can go to and unpack some of the trauma that's happened. This work, it's difficult to do for a long period of time because it involves trauma and it's traumatizing. White supremacy is terrorism. All right. So when you deal with this stuff up close and when you get these calls, I mean, that's why I think the one thing people don't understand is the calls or the Facebook messages that people give us on the low. You know what I mean? That no one wants to know about, and they don't want to put their face out there, you know, and they want us to be the face of the trauma that they experienced. That's always been the most difficult part of this work for me. And so balance looks like having a team of people I can talk to that know when I'm in the red, that know when my tank is near, or not letting my tank get to E, right? Like, you know, when you live a fast lifestyle, you just let your tank, you ride around in your tank on E all day. But when you get to a certain point in your life where you're a little more established, when you plan things out a little more, and you reach another level of maturity, you know, I know folks that they don't let it get past the halfway mark, right? Once it hits the halfway mark, they go ahead and fill that thing up. You know, they don't live that life on E. And so what I'm learning in real time right now is how not to live my life on E, you know, and to let other people fill me up before I get to that point. And that is a work in progress, but just knowing that is knowing that's how I need to function and move is a step in the right direction. And I'm grateful for that.
Now, of course, I don't know if somebody's coined that term, life on E, not living your life on E. That's beautiful because a lot of us do. And once you run out of gas or spirit, you may be somewhere where we can get you.
And the thing is, and that's what is so powerful about this George Floyd thing being a year later. You never know when you're going to have a hill you got to go up. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? George Floyd, you know, I was looking at 2 years ago on my memories, and I met Trayvon Martin's mother 2 years ago to the day today, and like you never know when there's not going to be a stop for another 50 miles, you know what I mean? And so, to keep your, to do the daily maintenance, I think that's what I'm talking about here. The daily maintenance of making sure I'm not too wore out. I think LeBron James, let's give a shout out to him. They're going to win tonight. Calls it load management, right? Make sure that my load doesn't get too heavy. And so that I split that. And these are enormous issues that have always existed in American society, right? So to think that I can eat this entire elephant is ridiculous, right? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time and with a group of friends, you know what I mean? And that, otherwise I can't handle all that myself.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that's how I try to handle the difficult nature of this work. And I've learned by trial and error. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've learned in the fire.
I call it research and development.
Yeah. I'm fresh out the research department.
Yes, sir.
And it's as though it's on me to take those hard-earned lessons and give away those gems to the next generation or to the next activist for free.
That's
right?
beautiful.
So they don't
Yes,
have
sir.
to struggle for it like I did.
That's right. That's right. I wanted to get to Jody. We're going to hear from Jody, and then we're going to take a short break. We're going to decide if we're going to come back with maybe some loose ends, some of the things that we didn't mention before, because it's all about George Floyd today. Next week, load management permitting. We'll discuss some of the other things because it's not all going to clear up within a week.
White supremacy isn't going to end this week.
Maybe next week. All right.
Spoiler alert.
Hey, I already went to Las Vegas. I got my money on next week. All right. It's going to end sometime. And sometimes, like my wife says, sometimes Washington, you're right. All right. All right. Okay.
All right.
All right. All right. She did say that once.
All right.
Long time ago.
All right.
Jody, the same question for you. We hear the term, there's more work to do, more work that has to be done. What does that mean to you? And man, you've been in it for a while. And I'm glad that both of you are still here. All right. And it's a blessing. It really is, because I've seen a lot of people start over my years. I've seen some flash in the pans. Jody, they start. They're not here anymore.
You've seen some events, some protests, some rally people, and that's it.
Right. And it is a science to having some longevity in this type of work. And I strive to share as much as I can. But what does that mean to you, Jody? More work, there's more work to do. And then what do you do, Jody, to stay balanced?
Well,
That we could talk about over the line. I'm messing around with you, but I'm not. But
for me, it's always more work to be done. I'm breathing.
yes, sir.
I don't know. I've done quite a bit in my life. And my memories is I'm beginning to look back at some stuff, kind of tell my age from days when I was homeless, traveling with the carnival, traveling as bounty hunter and some other stuff and everything. And then through my timeline, there's a gap to where I'm going to stuff I laughed at years ago. Literally, where I was doing the nightclub stuff and all of the other unscrupulous activities. I looked at people who did corner protests, didn't know why, but I'm just like, what in the world are they doing? And then fast forward to now, I look at everybody else that gets on social media or gets on to scream at somebody who they have no idea what the hour, the minute was like about what they should do, about how they should do theirs and run their business, or
Right.
they're not going to come to this thing because you're not talking about this that I want to hear, or discourage somebody else because they just haven't taken the time to research it for themselves. There's always going to be more work to do. We are literally a species that consumes stuff. We don't really make too many things that's positive towards the planet, the earth, the people, and all that thing. So we're always going to have to be trying to find better ways to be in harmony with each other.
Mm.
And harmony is something you have to work at, unfortunately, a lot more than not being harmonious or peaceful. It's easier to throw a punch than it is to give a hug. So much easier. But I don't know. It's very weird to look at the world that we are in right now and see with not just us as adults who may be able to deal with some of this stuff since we've been at it for so long. It's for me, it became my I don't want to say religion, but it became my routine. So
Okay.
everything that I do, I turned it like, you know how some people say, I'm so happy to go to work and all this stuff,
Yes, sir.
because I made it something that I loved. Not all the aspects of it, but I turned it into my books, my mantras, my artwork, my how I greet people now. Because again, I go into a whole bunch of situations, like Julian said, y'all don't see the calls, the texts, the messages, and cries for help for people who are just trying to look for attention. Sometimes, but then how do you discern from this person that wants you to run across somebody cussed at them, or this person who just had her brother incarcerated because they said his plate was missing a screw?
Mm.
It's very hard, and the follow-up is even harder. Like again, it's been a year.
That's right, brother.
We still haven't got no justice for Brianna. We still haven't got no justice for Sandra. We still haven't got no justice for Freddie Gray. And I think Tamir got something, but more recent stuff. There's still stuff happening every day. And with the influx of us being able to be at home and not having to do nothing because of a pandemical situation, we watch. And if your life looks worse than mine, then I feel good about myself and I don't have to deal with it. A lot of people have that concept that you're doing so much worse than me, so I'm good and I'm just going to sit there and point at other people to look at you because it's going to uplift me somehow. Yeah, what was the second part of the question?
Okay, what is it that this is Mental Health Month?
Yeah.
All right, and that's what I do is assist people getting through some difficult times of them perceiving things differently because of a chemical imbalance or emotional trauma. And for me, yes, the protest, the activist life does involve some trauma. What do you do to stay balanced? What is your thing? Because people are listening right now.
I create. Again, I mentioned I let this become my life. Something that was hurting me or something you're scared, eventually you have to jump. So my books are about domestic violence. My artwork is very, if you look at it in the right eye, if you read all the words, put it in the mirror, and shine some different color lights on it. It's the emotions I don't get to speak to people on a daily basis. So I put it there for history. I put it there to have people maybe find that one article of something that inspires them. It's been daunting, but it helps me every time somebody comes to me and say, I want to be an author for the first time. I've seen you do all this stuff. Can you help me? Or how do you get involved with this person that I'm like, hey, me and that person just went to dinner. I'll give you the building number. It's a way to help alleviate the stress of the closed doors that I got along the journey. And because I write in before 5 minutes of heat, I mention this and I don't actually get to see my art or anything a lot. Like once I say it, after I proofread it, it's there for history. So I mentioned this and you might catch it on the news and the interview and stuff like that. But I wrote it yesterday and I guess today was why, because that's how I write. I write blindly, free writing with whatever's going on to me. It's like some people write in a journal and they burn it. So these are kind of, it's kind of funny. My artwork and my books are my burn notices that I just kind of kept.
Okay.
So after the last year we just had with activism, activism might look shiny and awesome on the outside, but the reality is we're fighting for people who don't even know they need to be free. Activism takes a toll on you mentally, spiritually, and physically. And a lot of us find the strength to fight the evil that no one is willing to deal with or speak about publicly together. But at the end of the day, we still have to come home and fight our own traumas. Some of us find the evil a lot easier to deal with than the ones we face every day. And after 7 years, I still wake up and chip away at the boulder every day that is my own personal battles, knowing that some people don't even see the walls they're encased in.
All right. Well,
5 minutes of heat.
that is not five. That's the precursor to 5 minutes of heat. That's the warm up right there. Hey, listen, we're going to take a short break. We're going to come back, top some loose ends, and then we're going to shut it down with 5 minutes of heat.
All right.
So stay tuned. This is CSRN Video Minutes, our weekly podcast. Come right back.
Exactly.
All right.
Hey,
Hey,
we're
we
back.
are back. This is the CSRN Video Minutes. It's our weekly podcast. And today we have Jody Summers. We have Julian Mack. And we're winding it on down. We're looking forward to hearing Jody with 5 minutes of heat. That's how we close everything out. And we're looking for somebody to shut it down with our solidarity pledge. I guess, okay, I got it right there. All right, I guess you got it. Now, for you, Julian, and then for Jody, looks like I see on the clock, they're saying we only have a few minutes left. Okay. All right. All right. Okay.
Uh-oh.
If there's a couple of things before we get to Jody in 5 minutes of heat that you need everybody to know, like if there's something on the bubble right now that you really need to know, what would that be?
Yeah, so get involved. Find a way to get involved. There's a heavy burden on people that do this work. As we talked about, and this is a community effort, right? And we're not the gatekeepers of this community. You know what I mean? That's one thing that we want to hear from you. We want to see from you. You know, we want your contribution. And we all have talents and gifts. One thing that I said a year ago that remains true today is that we all have talents and gifts, right? And you know, I can't speak for anybody else, but we have two lives, man. The one we live and the one that we live when we realize we only have one. You know, and so what do you want your life to stand for? Do you want your life to mean? Yes, Black Lives Matter, but what can I do to manifest that into my life? And it spreads like ripples. What can I do, right, to show, to make an impact on other people's lives and to make them see their worth as well? And so I challenge you all to do that. I challenge you all to message us get involved, to find a way to use your talent to help deconstruct white supremacy. And we want to hear from you.
Now, there was a couple of things that we talked about right before the podcast, and I hope I'm not overstepping. You'll let me know. You mentioned Victor Dale. You also mentioned there was a rally for Palestine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So there have been some huge news events that I think we're probably going to have to do justice for them. Dive and do a little bit deeper dive next week.
Okay. Yes, sir.
But we stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters in Palestine and the against the Zionist white supremacist state of Israel that continues to destroy black bodies, kick these Palestinian people out of their homes. We stand in solidarity, and we are calling for our United States government to stop the sale of our bombs to Israel, because at the end of the day, those Israelis aren't making those bombs. They're purchasing those bombs from America, the ones that we fund to be created with our tax dollars within our military industrial complex. We cannot allow that to continue to persist. If Black Lives Matter right here in Toledo and America, then they matter worldwide. And we can much better use those resources to free our people as opposed to, the destructive behavior of this imperialistic government of bombing people like us.
And Victor Dale.
Yeah, so very disheartening news with Victor Dale Jr. So after, Victor Dale Jr. not only were the cops not held accountable for the attempted murder of Victor Dale Jr., but recently a grand jury charged him with aggravated assault against those officers for basically saving his own life, essentially. Victor knew he was in danger. He drove away. A cop, Oregon police officer, jumped in front of his vehicle and tried to kill him. I maintain the fact that Victor Dale Jr. saved his own life that day. And so, we want people to know what's going on with Victor Dale Jr. And Vic, if you hear this, we're not just praying for you. We're looking for ways these aren't just thoughts and ideas, although that matters too. We're also trying to figure out the best way to mobilize and help you and to use our talents and give resources exactly to avoid this disgusting act by the state. So you are in our hearts, you're in our minds, and you are in our soul, brother, as we try to continue to fight for freedom.
And shout out to Saray and Vic, and yeah, brother, we got you, and we love you. We love your family. We love everything that you stand for, and it's not going down like you think it is. So I want to really touch base with Jody, because I think we've got an event that he's been working on, that we're working on, that's coming up this weekend. This weekend. What is it? And is there anything else before we shut it down with 5 minutes of heat that you need people to know?
So we're trying to give a quick update on all the things going on in the community. Just to remind people that, again, we are the community solidarity, and then we respond to the rest of the network. But shout out to the individuals that have put together a peaceful prayer every Thursday and Sunday at 6:15 sharp at the Swainfield Plaza. That's Detroit and Monroe. If you want to go up, support, pray with them. There's a lot going on in this city. People have come back outside. Aggressions are high. We've been wearing masks all year and talking to screens, and we really don't know how to maybe communicate with each other. We hug, fist pound, fight it out versus bullets. But there has been quite an uptick, which personally myself, I expected after you keep people inside for so long, they can't see each other. They're just cut off from any kind of healing resource. So so if you want to attend that, that's 6:15 every Thursday and Sunday at the Swingfield Plaza, Monroe and Detroit. Shout out, I believe that is, because I'm a part of a whole bunch of boards, but I'm going to shout out a couple of them. Shout out the Hoodstock Foundation, Gutter Dave, Devon Fang, a whole bunch of us. I'm one of the executive board members, and we got that coming up in August, but it's not just an event for us. So we're also involved in a lot of the stuff that's going on in the city. The Human Relations Commission, give them an applause for they just have a youth job fair, the event they did with us a couple of weeks ago, the events that are still on their calendar, go check them out. Commission for being so awesome to us artistically inspired individuals and giving us opportunities for grants or commission work. We have a big one coming up. Well, the small one, the big one. I know the next one coming up is the Signal Box Wraps here. And then we have a huge one, which is our the silos and the refineries that's on the water. I just recently learned like 3 of our, because we were all mad, like, oh, New York, Detroit, Chicago.
Right.
We're going to be doing the project. And they just announced, I believe, 3 of our local graffiti artists. Shout out to Contron and Chris Rodriguez. I believe they're going to be working on that project. So hopefully it won't be as gentrified and whitewashed as they would like it to be. Throw that out there. Shout out to Nicola. So the event that we're having is a jazz and blues festival at the Colors Art Gallery. We have vendors coming. We don't have food trucks because that's one of the agreements that we have with renting that parking lot and stuff like that. I'm not sure who, but we have that event coming up on the 29th from 2 to 8. There'll be live musicians like Ramona Collins and J-Bone and Brother Washington. Come on, help me out. I know you know some of these people.
Well,
all the time.
They all gonna be there. Everybody you know gonna be there. All of them gonna be there.
You have my back.
Yeah.
A lot of local artists are gonna be there.
That one you thinking of, they gonna be there
with a blues band and all that stuff. So it's gonna be a nice live show. We'll have vendors out there. You'll be able to come and check out the art gallery, the Colors, which is again a Black-owned art gallery here in the city of Toledo. So you can shop with them. I'll be there as a vendor. I'll also be performing. We are one of the sponsors on the event. So come check us out. We might have a separate table, get some yard signs, some wristbands, some keychains, some water bottles, some merchandise if you want to help our efforts, because again, this is grassroots. We are not an organization that gets grants or donations or even tries to go out here. After all these years, we've had many people try and get us to do a C3 or C something, which would take power away from our individuality. We can give to community members and grassroots organizations without having a tech sheet, or not a tech sheet, but a tag sheet at the end of the year of what did you do with this money. If I want to give my brother $100, I give him $100. It's kind of one of the things that's kept us together as a good foundation. Shout out again, Gutter Dave and Devon with the Hoodstock Foundation, Chris McBrayer. I know he's got stuff that's probably going to be going on because it's summer. The program, I believe they're still doing stuff. All of the organizations that sit behind the scenes, breaking chains, not breaking, stuff. You heard show before, but
so right before 5 minutes, I do want to give one more shout out to SPAN, this organization that is for Medicare for All. We had a march this past Saturday for Medicare for All. That call continues, man. The disproportionate effect and the institutional racism in the healthcare industry is as prevalent now and as easy to see as it's ever been. And so the disparities only become more elongated when we don't have Medicare for All. So you can email write a letter to your local congressperson. One thing I was very happy to see is that our mayor came out in favor of Medicare for all. But the person who's oddly missing is our congresswoman, the longest woman in the United States House of Representatives. Marcy Kaptur has not come out in favor of Medicare for all, and that needs to change. So tell Marcy we want Medicare for all.
All right, and big shout out to Our Revolution.
And that's on Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Right, and big shout out to Our Revolution and Span, who were one of the sponsors of our Black Lives Matter Awards. I think that was maybe 2018. All right, thanks, Dennis, and all the work that you and everyone's doing there.
Tim and all that. So since we did go that route too, because I wasn't quite done yet. We do have a major issue in my political district on the east side. I mentioned a couple weeks ago, and I've been mentioning our food bank a couple of times in this podcast so that you guys are aware of it. I believe it was last month. Save-A-Lots around the country closed. That leaves the east side of Toledo in a food desert situation. One grocery store that encompasses all of the east side. And that is a very scary thing. Me and my organization and our food pantry, shout out to Chris Meager, our board members, and all of our volunteers who have over the year helped, I guess, what was it, almost $200,000 in supplies to people locally and around the community. Those people I was talking about that I went and fed under the bridge, who are teens, by the way. So also on the same day that we have our Jazz Fest Colors Blues thing, we have I'll be sharing the post to our page once we get something, a time nailed down, but it will be in the afternoon. So we're going to be bringing our kind of food mobile station, whatever you want to call it, out there to help those locally that, hey, there's no Save-A-Lot. And I don't know, again, we're also in the process of working on the building. So I ain't say nothing, but you know, the old Save-A-Lot looks like a nice building. And if we have to buy it, we will, because I'm being generous. And I know still you're new to the job and everything. I would love to see you out there, Teresa, guys. I would love to see the at-large community council members, council community, whatever, out there. I know everybody's got some type of shot or whatever, so you should be good to see your community now with a mask or without. I would love to see more than just maybe one council member at a community event. And this is something, again, we're a food desert. There are people who we've had to uptick in the services that we've already do because they can't get out the house. I mean, they may be able to walk a block, but the transportation system really isn't reliable. Ride services aren't reliable, and nobody can pay for DoorDash all the time or some ride service all the time. So please help the east side. I think there's been enough taken away from the east side. And again, this isn't the fault of government or something like that. It's things happen. The business shut down. So now you have the opportunity to interject with all this grant money and beautification projects that you've gotten, Mayor, and all that stuff to help out.
All right. So are we ready for 5 minutes of heat? We heard something earlier, which was the precursor to 5 minutes of heat, or the 5 minutes of warm up to the 5 minutes of heat. What do we have today?
So today I'm doing pieces that nobody's ever heard before.
Pieces.
Yes.
Okay.
So they're shorter than what 5 minutes of heat would be, but for everybody that knows me and has followed my work, I do in 30 days of writing as illustrators, artists, creators. It's like one of the little challenges you go on, you do something every day. Last year, I backlogged that stuff for a future book. And this year I wound up doing 3 with all the other stuff that I do. So they're unnamed, but here is one of them. Let's begin. Peace. I keep trying to shake the memory of last year. It's like everything was just snapped away. Friends, family, relationships, memories, and careers. I had been running in the same circles for so long, it felt like this was the track for me. But honestly, I was stuck in a loop. Not being able to pass the car ahead of me because there was nowhere else to go. Last year was my pit stop. A chance to weigh in my opportunities and choose something different. I keep trying to shake the memory of last year because it forced me to understand the mortality of things, not just people, but places, intangible things that you thought would never go away. I am still alive today, but I can definitely feel the damage it did to my heart. Yesterday was a lesson. Today is a moment you may never get back, and tomorrow is what you make of it. I keep trying to shake the memory of last year, not knowing it was pushing me forward. In peace. So we got one more. It's a small one. And next week I'll probably do the last two that I did since they're short. This one is actually dedicated to somebody. Brother Washington actually got two in a series of books that will be coming out hopefully next year. That I've done this project for 6 years now. And every year I include people that give me some type of inspiration. And you're all going to that way you still get to be alive through this. So my friend, Mother Meech, we were having a conversation one day, and I told her I'm in the middle of, or I just started writing. I don't even think she knew about it till I was done. And this is the piece that came out. So thank you, Mother Meech, Meechy, my good friend, my kind of lifeline through all of this pandemical stuff. This piece is for you. It's a weird place we live in today. As a kid, I thought all the adults were crazy, just yelling and fighting with each other for no reason but to make noise. Growing up and going through schooling, I always was told that you just need to know this. And if I had any ideas or questions on what it was we were truly fighting about, I was sent to detention and told my questions have answers, but I'm too young to deal with it. And honestly, told my questions have answers, but I'm too young to honestly deal with it. So just sit in the corner and wait your turn. It's a weird place we live in today. As I left school with the very little life information it taught me, I learned that we make our own trouble. Everyone always screams peace or what we do to each other, but we make species go extinct every day and burn the planet just to discover that life was always there. And we've eradicated so much that we have to supplement it with artificial substance. It's a weird place we live in today. Now I argue and bicker with people in my age bracket who never lived life and follow the book, so they discriminate against the imagination of discovery. Those that live lives brought on to them by the decisions of their parents. So the cycle will continue until enough walk away for the system to fall and crumble. It's a weird place we live in today. We glaze over everything that seems too deep and troubled, accepting less and less from the things that give us life, nurturing our futures with more and more of our troubles. In peace.
Thank you, Jody. And as always, we're going to shut it down with our solidarity pledge. You mind doing the solidarity pledge?
No, I don't mind.
All right.
I say your name.
Brother Washington.
Pledge to strive.
Pledge to strive.
To love my brothers and my sisters.
To love my brothers and my sisters.
As I love myself.
As I love myself.
Say your name.
Brother Washington.
Pledge to strive.
Pledge to strive.
To study to improve myself.
To study to improve myself.
Spiritually.
Mentally.
Morally.
And
physically.
And physically.
For the benefit of myself.
For the benefit of myself.
My family. And my people.
And my people.
Say your name.
Brother Washington.
Pledge to strive.
Pledge to strive.
To be a part of the solution.
To be a part of the solution.
The process.
The process.
And not the problem.
And not the problem.
Say your name.
Brother Washington.
Pledge to strive
Pledge to strive.
to give all that I can spare
To give all that I can spare.
of my time,
Of my time.
my strength,
My strength.
and energy
And energy.
to achieve
To achieve.
the above said.
The above
Now
said.
give yourself a round of applause.
Great job, great job. We look forward to seeing everybody back next week, all right, for the CSRN Video Minutes. And as always, all
All lives
lives,
can't matter until Black Lives Matter.
Right.
Stepping on people's lines, just
but it's all
I
good.
thought we said it at the same
That's
time.
his thing.
Okay,
He
all
gets
right.
one thing.
Yeah, right. It's all good, but all lives can't matter until
Black Lives Matter.
and Black lives can't matter until
All Black Lives Matter. Justice or else.
Yeah,
Peace.
yeah.
That's how